India today, 25th of October 2023, China sent its Combined Arms Brigade to Tawang in response to fighting in Arunachal Pradesh. China is currently diverting India's attention to the north with an all-out war on the Indian subcontinent while simultaneously constructing its aircraft carrier fleets to establish dominance over the Indian Ocean. India has used its advantageous tactical position along the line of actual control to stave off Chinese invasions and established a network of roughly 6 tiny outposts. In honor of Dussehra, a holiday celebrating the triumph of virtue over evil, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh visited the border town of Tawang in Arunachal Pradesh on Tuesday and led the troops in a Shastra Puja. Singh's travel to the border region of Dussehra has essential optics. In the Tawang sector's Yangtze area, Indian forces successfully repelled a Chinese incursion in December last year. This was attributed to the Indian troops' improved tactical deployment, which included occupancy of the ridgeline, increased readiness, efficient intelligence gathering, and deployment of soldiers at the area's outposts in all weather conditions. But according to recent commercial satellite data that India today was able to get, China most certainly moved its Combined Arms Brigade, CAB, which had been stationed close to the conflict location at Lampung and Sonadzong, to Rutong and Lonsizong a few months after it occurred. General Manoj Panda, Chief of Staff of the Army, Lieutenant General R.P. Kalita, General Officer Commanding-in-Chief, GOC-in-C, of the Eastern Command, and Lieutenant General Manish Sherry, GOC of the 4 Corps, accompanied Rajnath Singh on Tuesday. Additionally, some of the People's Liberation Army, PLA, positions visible from Bumla across the border were revealed to the Defence Minister. India has used its advantageous tactical position along the ridgeline to fend off Chinese incursions and established a network of roughly 6 tiny outposts. China has recently invested in constructing a road network and more garrisons along the frontier's near-depth areas to enhance its strategic deployments. However, whether permanent or semi-permanent, more Chinese troops in the area may undermine India's long-standing advantages. A further indication of the changing dynamics in the region is the U.S. Department of Defense's recent annual report to Congress, which highlighted China's deployment of 3 light to medium combined arms brigades, CABs, in the eastern sector of the LAC. Following the alleged confrontations that had taken place in the border area of Arunachal Pradesh 3 days prior, the governments of China and India released different statements on December 13, 2022. Both parties claimed disengagement after accusing one another of crossing the line of actual control, LAC, in these comments. However, Rajnath Singh confirmed that there were no fatalities or serious casualties on our side during his speech to the parliament, acknowledging the altercation. On the other hand, no conflicts were mentioned in the Chinese statement that was released that day. It's important to remember that this was not the only event in the area. A year prior, there had been reports of a similar altercation. Shortly after the December 2022 confrontation, video footage of the incident went viral on social media. Analyzing the most recent footage acquired by India today, observers of the Indo-Tibetan border regions identify a broader trend that connects other phenomena observed in this region. Compared to the pre-Galwan incident period, recent developments indicate a more significant deployment of PLA assets in the eastern frontier of Indo-Tibetan border areas, indicating a change in the dynamics of the Indian border and China's grand strategic calculations. The status quo in the area has altered with the construction of the new dual-use airport in Lonsizong, which is around 100 kilometers from Tawang and less than 30 miles from the McMahon Line. To obtain a perceived advantage over India in terms of infrastructure, communication, and logistics, China appears to be increasing the force deployment along the Tibet-Arunachal Pradesh border areas, according to Nature Desai, an observer of the Indo-Tibetan frontier who has been keeping an eye on developments on the LAC. Desai has been updating his X account with these events. After analyzing the picture, it was discovered that the PLA had moved some of its field camps components from Sonadzong, which is immediately across from the Tawang sector, to Rutong of Lonsizong, located in a relative depth. An additional problematic location along the LAC is the Subansri frontier, and the field camp of a light cab erected along the bank of Nile Chu, Subansri, acts as a node for this area. In the future, Asafala and the Zari Chu Valley, the site of the 1959 Longju incident and the site of a freshly constructed new settlement purportedly in Indian territory, may emerge as the following hotspots along the eastern sector of the LAC, he continued. According to recent high-resolution images, the cab has been continuously deployed at Rutong in Lonsy County for about a year. China experts highlight Beijing's broader objectives about its boundaries with India. Arunachal Pradesh is being consistently pushed to secure its territorial claims. China merely claims Arunachal Pradesh, India is the legitimate administrator. Beijing disagrees with New Delhi's position on acknowledging the McMahon Line as the boundary between China and India. Hence, the larger strategy is to secure its land borders with India, according to Amrita Jash, assistant professor at the Department of Geopolitics and International Relations, Manipal Academy of Higher Education, and author of The Concept of Active Defense in China's Military Strategy. Jash draws attention to China's conspicuous unwillingness to resolve the boundary conflict with India. For example, China recently signed a cooperation agreement on October 24 and a memorandum of understanding on a three-step roadmap, accelerating boundary negotiations with Bhutan. Beijing's selective approach to border settlement is exemplified by the fact that, in the case of India, China has embraced neither the McMahon Line, as with Myanmar, nor the watershed concept, as with Nepal. Instead, Beijing has chosen the MO with Bhutan. Instead, she told India Today, standoffs have increased in frequency rather than resolutions with India. She continued, bringing up the ongoing standoff in eastern Ladakh despite 20 rounds of Corps commander-level talks. In evaluating China's actions, the more important question to ask is, does China wish to resolve the boundary dispute with India? It doesn't exude much positivity. As he stressed winning the local wars as the PLA's goal for the upcoming years in his speech at the 20th Party Congress last year, Xi Jinping's policy is closely linked to these developments, according to several commentators. He has since advocated for combat readiness in any emergency numerous times. The Organization for Research on China and Asia's senior research associate, Omkar Bole, stated that China's forceful moves on the LAC should be regarded from a global perspective, ORCA. To prevent a two-front conflict issue and strengthen China's navy to rule the Indian Ocean, he continued, these activities near Tawang should not be viewed as a reaction to any specific activity by India. Concerns have been expressed regarding the potential impact of Li Shangfu's recent dismissal as China's Minister of Defense on Xi's defense plans. Li is an expert in military technology, and Xi's inclination for swift military modernization was made clear by his nomination as the defense minister in March of this year. The expulsion of Li and the purging of other PLA officers over the past year may have lowered PLA morale generally, even though this is projected to persist despite leadership changes. Although this won't be apparent immediately, Bole told India Today that it might interfere with Xi's long-term intentions for the PLA, particularly those in the LAC. China experts view non-military measures like India's Vibrant Villages scheme to accelerate infrastructure development near the LAC in Arunachal Pradesh and recent border tourism initiatives in these areas as a necessary tool to strengthen India's hold over this region, even though the country's infrastructure development in the border regions continues to proceed at its own pace. Tawang, located in Arunachal Pradesh, is anticipated to play a significant role in the Dalai Lama's succession process, for which India must start preparing now, Bole continued. On Tuesday, Rajnath Singh also visited the 4 Corps headquarters in Tezpur, Assam. In a statement from the Defense Ministry, it was stated that he was briefed on the infrastructure development along the LAC and the employment of cutting-edge military equipment and technology to enhance the operational efficiency of the troops deployed on the front line.